I never planned to destroy my family, but the truth has teeth, and once you let it out, it never goes back into the cage. My name is Emma. For 32 years, I thought I had the perfect life: Sunday dinners where everyone laughed, holidays spent around the same wooden table that had been in our family for generations, and parents who taught me that family always comes first. I believed them. I believed every word, until the night I found the USB drive. It was a rainy Tuesday when I opened my father's desk looking for tape. The power had gone out, candles were burning, and I just wanted to finish wrapping a birthday present for my niece. The USB was shoved behind an old Bible, labeled only "Contracts." I thought it was boring tax stuff. What I found instead made me sit on the floor and forget to breathe. Inside were scanned contracts, signed by men I didn't know, wealthy men, listing dates, payment amounts, and names I did know. Cousins. Girls from our community. Next to each name was a number, a bride price. Some of the files had medical records attached. My blood turned to ice when I realized what I was reading: proof of arranged marriages, most of them underage, some to men twice or 3 times the girl's age. I put the USB back and pretended it didn't exist. But that night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about my cousin Layla, who disappeared right after turning 13. The family said they'd moved out of state. I remembered the way my aunt cried when no one was looking. It hit me like a punch to the gut: Layla's name had been on that USB. The next morning, I took the USB and copied everything to my laptop. Then I called the prosecutor's office from a burner number I bought at Walmart. I didn't give my name. I just read what I found. The woman on the phone was quiet for a long time before saying, "Ma'am, this is serious. Can you bring this in?" I said yes. I knew in that moment that my life would never be the same. 3 days later, CPS and law enforcement raided our house. My father was arrested. My mother screamed so loud I thought the windows would shatter. My uncles shouted that I was a traitor, a disgrace, that I had ruined everything. My little brother just stood there, pale as paper, asking me why. Because it was wrong, I said. He didn't look convinced. News spread through our community within hours. My phone blew up with calls and texts: traitor, rat, witch. My best friend of 10 years blocked me. People spit when they saw me at the grocery store. The threats came next: anonymous numbers, messages saying they knew where I worked, what time I left the house, that I should watch my back. I had to move to a safe apartment under a different name. My parents disowned me formally 2 weeks later. They held a gathering, burned a photo of me, and announced to everyone that their daughter had died. I saw the video online. My mother's face was cold and proud as she declared, "We have no daughter." I threw up after watching it. The investigation dragged on for months. More evidence came out, contracts going back 20 years. Testimonies from girls who had escaped. Families split apart. Some girls were found alive, others were never located. My father refused to speak to investigators, claiming I forged everything. My uncles swore revenge. And then, something I didn't expect, my younger sister, Mia, came to see me. She was 16, shaking, crying. "They're planning to send me next," she whispered. "You have to stop them." That night, she stayed with me. I hid her in my apartment until social workers could step in. It made the case stronger, but it also made my family hate me more. When the trial started, the courthouse was full of people from our community. They glared at me, whispered curses, told me I had shamed them before God. I sat there with shaking hands as the prosecutor laid out the evidence, as photos of terrified 13-year-old brides flashed on the screen, as witnesses cried describing what had been done to them. My mother wouldn't even look at me. My father sat stone-faced, like a statue. The verdict came, guilty on multiple counts. My father was sentenced to 15 years. My uncles received between 5 and 10. I thought I'd feel relief, but instead I felt hollow. Because even though I had saved girls, even though I had done the right thing, I had lost everything. I walked out of the courthouse to find my car keyed, my tires slashed. Someone had left a note under the windshield that just said, "You're next." For the next 2 years, I lived like a ghost. I moved twice after being followed home. Mia eventually adjusted to her new foster family, but she barely spoke to me. Therapy helped a little, but not enough. Sometimes I wondered if my parents were right, that I had killed the family. That maybe silence would have been better. Then last month, I got a letter. No return address. Inside was a photo of my father in prison, smiling, with other men. On the back, a single sentence, "You can't hide forever." That night, I installed extra locks and motion sensors. I reported the letter to police, but they said there was nothing they could do unless there was an active threat. 3 weeks later, Mia called me. Her voice was shaking. "They came for me," she said. "Outside school." But I ran. We met at a diner off the highway, and she told me everything, how cousins I hadn't seen in years tried to drag her into a car, how they said they'd finish what Emma ruined. I realized then that this wasn't just about me anymore. So I went public. I gave an interview to a local news station. I showed them everything, every document, every message, every threat. It went viral. Reporters showed up at my old community center. More victims came forward. It sparked a statewide investigation. And just like that, the people who once called me a traitor were suddenly silent. But going public came with a cost. I lost the last shreds of anonymity I had. My job put me on leave for safety concerns. I had to move again. I don't go anywhere without looking over my shoulder. Some nights I wake up to imagine footsteps outside my window. And yet, if you asked me if I'd do it again, I would. Every time. Because Mia is free. The other girls are free. And somewhere out there, a 13-year-old is sitting at her kitchen table tonight, eating dinner with her family, because I spoke up. I don't know if my family will ever forgive me. I don't know if I can forgive myself for loving them for so long while turning a blind eye. But this is what I want you to think about as you watch this. If the price of telling the truth was losing everything, your home, your family, your name, would you still pay it? I never thought I'd tell this story, not even to my closest friends. For years, I told everyone I hated my sister Emma for what she did. And for a long time, I actually believed it. But the truth is, she saved me, even if it meant tearing everything we knew apart. When the police raided our house 2 years ago, I was 16. I remember the flashing lights, the yelling, my mom crying so hard she almost fainted. My dad shouting that someone had betrayed us. At first, I had no idea what was happening. But when they arrested my dad, I saw Emma standing across the street. She wasn't crying. She just stood there, holding that stupid laptop bag, like she'd been waiting for this moment. I hated her in that instant. She broke something in me. My dad had always been my hero. He taught me to ride a bike, helped me with math homework, cheered at every school event. Seeing him in handcuffs felt like a nightmare. That night, my mom sat us down and told us Emma had lied. She said Emma had been poisoned by outsiders, that she'd turned against her own blood. My uncles told me Emma wanted to destroy us, to make us look like criminals in front of the whole world. I believed them. I burned the pictures I had with her. I swore I'd never talk to her again. But as weeks passed, I overheard things. Conversations I wasn't supposed to hear. My aunt whispering that, at least we still have Mia, we can promise her next year. My stomach dropped. I knew what that meant. I had seen the wedding photos of my cousins, girls barely older than me, standing next to men with gray hair. I thought it was just tradition. That it was normal. But now I understood what Emma had done. She hadn't just ruined our family. She had stopped them from doing the same thing to me. One night, my mom got a call. She sounded angry. I hid behind the kitchen door and heard her say, "We need to get Mia ready. It's time." My hands started shaking. I texted Emma even though I hadn't spoken to her in months, "Help me. Please." She picked me up that night without a word. I cried the whole ride to her apartment. For the first time, she didn't lecture me. She just let me cry. The next morning, CPS came and I was placed with a foster family. I thought I'd feel safe. But safety is complicated when your whole community thinks you're a traitor. At school, people stared. Someone wrote "rat" on my locker in permanent marker. A cousin confronted me in the parking lot and told me I would regret this. I stopped going out alone. I kept my head down. I even stopped using social media. Meanwhile, the case dragged on. Every time there was a hearing, our family showed up in court, glaring at me, whispering that I'd ruined my own life. I couldn't look at my mom without crying. I missed her so much it physically hurt. But every time I thought about going home, I remembered what I'd heard that night. Remembered that if I went back, I'd probably end up like Layla, gone, married off, my childhood over. The day of the verdict, I sat next to Emma in court for the first time since everything happened. My hands were sweating so bad she had to hold them still for me. When the judge said, "Guilty," I felt my whole world tilt. My dad looked at me, not with anger, but with something worse. Disappointment. Like I was the one who had betrayed him. For weeks after the sentencing, I dreamed about him calling me, telling me he forgave me. It never happened. He never wrote, never called. My mom sent letters begging me to come home. I didn't respond. Part of me wanted to. The other part was too scared. Then last month, something happened that made me realize the danger wasn't over. School had just let out. I was walking to the bus stop when a black SUV pulled up. The back door opened and I heard a man's voice, someone I recognized. My cousin Kareem. He said, "Mia, come with us. We're taking you home." I ran. I didn't think. I just ran until my lungs burned. I hid in a gas station bathroom and called Emma. She drove an hour just to get me. That night, we filed another report with the police. They said they couldn't prove it was an abduction attempt. But I knew. They were going to take me somewhere I wouldn't come back from. Since then, Emma has gone public. She's made the story impossible to hide. And now our whole family hates her more than ever. They hate me too. But at least they can't touch us. Not easily. I still miss my mom sometimes. I still dream about my dad coming home and hugging me like he used to. But then I remember what they had planned for me, and the sadness turns to anger. They weren't trying to protect me. They were trying to own me. Emma and I aren't exactly close yet. Some days we barely talk. But when I look at her now, I don't see a traitor anymore. I see the only person who chose me over the family, even when it meant losing everything. She became the villain so I wouldn't have to. So to anyone out there watching this, if someone in your family is hurting you, if you feel trapped, tell someone. Even if they call you a liar. Even if you lose everyone. Because sometimes losing everyone is the only way to save yourself.